And I think printed in 1947, I think so. So long time ago.
The original.
Yes.
In Bengali?
Yeah, in Bengali. Guru Maharaj did this. And so we're on chapter 3, which is entitled Sri Bhakta Vachanamritam, the nectar of the words of the bhaktas, words of nectar from the devotees. And this is Anakulyasya Sankalpa. Who knows what that means? Anakulyasya Sankalpa.
Acceptance of the favor.
Very good, yeah. Okay. Where are we? I think we left off at 8.
5, I remember 5? Oh, 5.
That was yesterday, yeah.
Yeah, but that was Caritamrita, number 5, I think. I think number 5 was related to Caritamrita. I don't remember.
It was Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's commentary on the Rupa Goswami's listing of the things that are favorable for devotional service. Saraswati Thakur made it like a poem in commentary for that. We read that, and then we read about Yukta Vairagya. Who knows what Yukta Vairagya means?
Renunciation in devotion.
Yeah, renunciation in devotion, and that's favorable. So we accept everything necessary for devotion according to personal necessity, and we reject everything that's not favorable for devotion. Over or under acceptance of one's due measure may cause a fall from spiritual practices. So that's why we have to be in prayer to our gurus to help reveal to us what is the necessity for our service and how we can progress in our devotional life. And everybody's different. So everybody's engaged in different ways in relationship to their guru. And therefore, the Vaishnava naturally understanding his own position as, connected with the modes of material nature and trying to adjust to devotional life as best he can, will never criticize someone else for their position in devotional life, because we don't know what's going on with their relationship with their guru. And so it's important to see all the devotees in a light of everybody's engaged according to their heart's sincerity, and see that and accept that. And when we try to see like that, everything becomes kind of balanced. It's important. Okay, then we read the next one also. I read a few verses yesterday. Within renunciation in devotion, Yukta Vairagya, the foremost principle is to see everything in relationship to Lord Krishna. Krishna Sambandha Gyan. Oh, okay. Yeah, we start with this. So that's Guru Maharaj's commentary. And the Sanskrit is Tatra Krishna Sambandhasyaiva Pradhayanam. When renunciation in devotion, but within renunciation in devotion, Yukta Vairagya, the foremost principle is to see everything in relationship to Lord Krishna. Krishna Sambandha Jnana. So, everybody is, like Guru Maharaj tells us, everybody is engaged in devotional life, accepting the favorable, rejecting the unfavorable, going on in devotional life with, according to the principle, trying according to the principle of Yukta Vairagya. So then we'll read the next translation, and this is from Uddhava. Must be from the Uddhava Gita in Bhagavatam. Anyway, we'll read it. Adorned with the articles that have been offered to you, such as garlands, fragrant clothing, and ornaments, we, your personal servitors, who partake of your holy remnants alone, will certainly be able to conquer the illusory energy, Maya. This is Uddhava speaking. And his idea is very, very clear. This is like archanam. He's talking about one of the 9 processes. And by, doing that with sincere heart, we come in contact with the higher plane of existence, with Krishna, who's descended as the Murti to help us. And by offering with heart, we come in contact with that personality, and our hearts become cleansed. And in that way, we conquer over Maya. Otherwise, by our own endeavors, it's not possible to conquer over Maya. Maya is, the energy of Krishna, very powerful. And, sometimes very strong people who are like Brahmavadis or Mayavadis, they renounce and pull away and actually have the strength to reach the Brahman effulgence. But that's that's another one of those one in millions. So sitting here in devotional life, we already know that we're 1 in millions. So we have to understand the degree of our fortune that has come to us, and the happiness that we have in our devotional life, having the opportunity to engage in our devotional activities. We're blessed. And to kind of step back and see, and understand from the perspective of what's going on in the world, how fortunate we are to be insulated from all the, hellish stuff that's going on. Why we're actually insulated? Why? Because we have a positive direction to go in. We have a positive goal. We have a positive feeling in our lives that enables us to just not care about what's going on around us. It actually, we can feel by the grace of our gurus that it's just a dream. And sometimes the dreams are really bad. And the production of those dreams come about according to people's own bad actions. So everything is, everything around, even though it's really impossible to understand, everything around us is going on according to karma and justice. Everything is just. So we can't worry about the things that most people are worried about balancing the world, like my friend Hitesh yesterday was telling me about. If we just had enough good people on both sides, then we could have a world that's perfect. And I said, Hitesh, come on. How many times do you find a really good person? Here and there, one person appears who has some strength. And generally, even that one person is compromised by, political considerations, like Gandhi or like Martin Luther King, or, a few people have the ideal of selflessness, dedicating to a higher cause. And that's the principle that we have to grasp. And that principle only will help the world. And, to think that the world will become paradise is, it's possible, but it's pretty impossible. I told him it's like if you realize you're on the Titanic, you get on the lifeboat. You don't stay and get comfortable in a chair. It's like you're on the Titanic, it's going to sink. So we're in that, kind of situation. And now we have the opportunity. We've got the lifeboat, and we've got a captain of the lifeboat. And all we have to do is stay on. And he'll bring us to the, what was the name of that ship that saved the passenger? Carpathia? Carpathia, I think so. Anyway, Gurudev is...
Mark, do you know that when the Titanic started to sink, there was people in the first class sitting in the restaurant, and they wasn't aware that it started going down.
Yeah.
And they were still kind of sitting and eating.
Right, exactly.
But some were aware, and those who were aware, they were like, okay, it's finished now. But most of the crew, they were just...
Yeah. It's impossible for the Titanic to sink. So similarly, we're thinking, it's impossible for us to die. Everything is nice. But, it's just ain't like that. So Uddhava is telling us that if we just offer flowers, bow down, will overcome the illusory energy. And why is that? Because Krishna will be touched. Even by our meager attempt, it's maybe 1/100th of our energy, but still, or 1,000th, who knows? But still, by the grace of someone like Srila Gurudev, who has, full 1,000 thousandths engaged directly, by his grace, he becomes our friend. And in that way, Krishna is touched by us because we're under the shelter of his dear devotee. So Uddhava, advises, engage in this type of devotional life and become free from Maya. The illusory energy will be conquered. And Guru Maharaj uses that language a lot. Even though he also tells us, like we read in the last verse, about sambandha jnana in seeing Krishna everywhere, that even the bad things that come are coming by Krishna's grace. But simultaneously, achintya bheda bheda tattva, we have to understand that we're in a battle against the illusory energy. And it's like that until we break out of the middle stage of devotional life and tip the scales towards purity. And our gurus have told us it's like that. If we try hard enough, eventually the scales will naturally rise up very quickly. And so we just have to keep trying. And very quickly may mean lifetimes, who knows? Because the perspective of one breath of Mahavishnu is that's the real perspective. Everything else is just a dreamlike comprehension of who we are and where we are and what's going on. Time I am, Krishna says. So that kind of time engulfs us. And we base all of our perceptions and activities on that as that time passes. And even though the time passes, everybody knows it. Like Yudhishthira Maharaj said, that the most amazing thing is people don't take the time to stop to think, wait a minute, there's something wrong here. That's like the first step. Okay. So we'll leave it there and do number 8 tomorrow. Guru Maharaj's commentary on number 8 is, the fundamental objective is to maintain constant remembrance of Sri Hari in every time, every place, and every circumstance. Then he gives a quote from a verse from Srila Vyasadeva. So that's tomorrow. Jai Shri Prabhupada Jivanamritam ki jai. Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Jai Guru Dev, Jai Guru Maharaj. I think this is a very nice presentation of Prabhupada Jivanamrita. It's very, they put it together nicely. Okay, hopefully this is in the right place. Chapter 2, Impersonal Brahman, Naked Eye, Worship Govinda, Opulences of the Impersonal.
Something about naked sadhus, remember?
Yeah, right. Naked eye, one cannot know the sun except as a glowing substance. Merely by philosophical speculation, one cannot understand Lord Krishna's transcendental pastimes. So the sun there's so much there, even with telescopes, they can't really comprehend what's going on with the sun. So what to speak of, the juggling of intellectual substances in relation to our mind. To think that we can comprehend the absolute is just delusional. And really, it's very simple, but nobody can see it because everybody's deluded. You look up in the sky and it's unlimited, and you're on this teeny planet, one of, what are the estimates? We said yesterday, 1 billion planets. One of 1 billion planets in this vast sky that never ends, and you want to understand about existence, it's like almost, as we come to consciousness by the grace of our gurus, it's just so obvious. But we don't see it because we're totally distracted. So anyway, that's what this verse says. Then the next verse quotes from Brahma Samhita. I wish of Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is endowed with great power. The glowing effulgence of his transcendental form is the impersonal Brahman, which is absolute, complete, and unlimited, and which displays the varieties of countless planets with their different opulences in millions and millions of universes. So we noted that yesterday. Koti koti means 10 millions of 10 millions. So, that's billions.
Raj, does it mean the universe is geographically different, or would it mean the planes of consciousness? Because like the bee,
right,
and you can also call this a plane. It's like not a planet in it, but like a plane of perception.
Right.
They have their own units there.
Right.
Like in one world, there's millions and millions.
Right. I don't quite understand how it works, but because we're told that on like what we perceive as empty planets, there's actually all kinds of stuff going on in different level of consciousness, right? So how the layers work, we can conceive of one on top of another, but I don't even know if it's anything like that. We have no idea, because it's manifest throughout the universe in different degrees. Because the planet of Brihaspati is different than the planet of Chandra. Maybe a different plane, I don't know, but it's definitely different in terms of, what's going on and what the consciousness is. So Jupiter is Brihaspati.
They say that there's Meru, this mountain in the middle, and like it's...
Yes, Mandara mountain, yeah. Yeah, so, it's like the story of, which actually, this English poet that Guru Maharaj quotes, actually I found this metaphorical story is actually in the Upanishads. So he took it from the Upanishads. If you look at the leg of an elephant, you have a particular definition of the elephant. If you look at his foot, you see a definition of the elephant. If you look at his tusk, if you look at his eyes, his big ears, his tail, we see things differently according to perspective, but according to real perspective that we are able to understand, the elephant is the full totality, and we view him as that totality. Whereas in terms of our ability to see the universes, well, we can't see them. We're like looking at a hair on an elephant's butt or something, and we just can't see. So to depict the universes, I don't know how they're doing it in the the ISKCON program that's going on, and we all know originally Srila Prabhupada wanted Srila Sridhar Maharaj to oversee it. But that time has passed, and but Srila Sridhar Maharaj did want, I know, well, like you're saying, different levels of consciousness to be displayed. Okay. So we've read the next one, the opulences of impersonal Brahman spread throughout the millions and millions of universes. That Brahman is but the bodily effulgence of Govinda. So you've got millions and millions of universes, and then above that, or surrounding it, or something, is Brahman, effulgence. And people think that's it. They can't see past it because they're absorbed in non-devotional consciousness and thinking. So ultimately they can see Brahman. And you find people, I'm noticing all over the place, there's people who have this idea that there is an all-pervading oneness, and that somehow or other that oneness has chosen to descend and is now manifest in individual bodies, and we have in these individual bodies the job of like fixing ourselves on the desire of the totality of the universe, and coming to some understanding of cooperating with everything that happens. And by doing that, we become like Brahman, and we're here. And then basically we can do whatever we want. They have this, it's kind of a New Age type notion. You guys have heard of that, huh? Yeah, it's a New Age type notion that that comes from the Brahman understanding. But in India, we know the people who really know how to approach Brahman withdraw from the external energy and engage in, sometimes even worship of Radha Krishna, and thinking that it's a temporary measure to reach a higher plane. Okay. So start 16. Se Govinda Baji Ami Teha Mona Patri Tahara Prasadi Mora Hoya Srishti Shakti. I worship Govinda. He is my Lord. Only by his grace am I empowered to create this universe. Okay, yeah, I think we read this yesterday. The Bhagavad Gita 14:27 clearly mentions that impersonal Brahman is dependent upon Govinda. Brahmano hi pratishtaham. That's the verse. I've used that for so many years in presenting to people how it's clearly said in the Gita that that's the case. And now most Sanskritists accept that. It used to be that they didn't. But now they actually do, by the influence, no doubt, of Srila Prabhupada and Srila Sridhar Maharaj. The consciousness is changing a bit, and they're having respect for the view, the vision that beyond Brahman there's some transcendental realm, the possibility of that. Before they thought, any depiction of form has to do with illusion, because transcendence doesn't have form. But we all know the paradoxical quotes from the Upanishad. He has limbs, but he doesn't have limbs, stuff like that. Which means no material limbs, but spiritual limbs. Okay. Munayo vata vasanaha sramana urdva mantinaha brahmakyam dhamma ye yanti shanta sannyasina malaha. Oh, we read this also. Naked saints and sannyasis, this is what you were talking about, who undergo severe physical penances can raise the semen to the brain, and who are completely equipoised in Brahman can live in the realm known as Brahmaloka. This is a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, Sanskrit. Vata Vasana refers to the mendicants who do not care about anything material, including clothing. And sometimes they're in the Himalayas. And Srila Prabhupada told us still today there's some that are like that in the Himalayas. Okay. Okay, I don't think we've done this one. No. Atman Taryami Yantra Yoga Shastra Koya Seha Govindera Angsa Vibhati Ye Hoya. He who is described in the Yoga Shastras as the indwelling supersoul, Atma Antaryami, is also a plenary portion of Govinda's personal expansion. Plenary portion, Angsa, like a limb. His Purusha avatars, the material world is created by the expansion of his Purusha avatars, who direct the aggregate material energy and all the conditioned souls. By understanding the three expansions of the Purusha, a living entity can transcend the position of knowing only the 24 elements of the material world. So, Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan. Okay, 19. I'll read the English first. I like how Madhusudana Maharaj does that. Then you can try to follow it in the Bengali or the Sanskrit. As the one sun appears reflected in countless jewels, so Govinda manifests himself as Paramatma in the hearts of all living beings. Ananta spatike yoiche eka surya base, taiche jiva govindera angsa prakashe. Very poetic. So angsa prakashe is a portion of Govinda in the hearts of all living beings. Like ananta spatike, unlimited crystals, appear as reflections of the one sun. Eka Surya, Base appears. So Prabhupada talks about Paramatma in the purport and ends with, a man may not remember what he has done in his childhood, but his father, who has seen him through different stages of development, certainly remembers. Similarly, the living being undergoes many changes of body through many lives, but the supersoul is always with him and remembers all his activities despite his evolution through different bodies. So, subjective evolution, development of bodies based on material activities and simultaneously any activities of the nature of bhakti. People get benefit from that by sacrificing for their country or sacrificing for their community or humanity, things like that. Because Krishna says they're actually all surrendering to me. They're actually all giving this to me, but they don't know it. So they get some benefit and they grow a little bit, and eventually, by that, they begin to come in contact with actual real devotees, and it develops from there based on the oversight of the Paramatma. Paramatma helps us along. Okay. Next, the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, said, "What more shall I say to you? I live throughout this cosmic manifestation merely in my single plenary portion. Atva va bunataina king gyatena tavarjuna vistabhyaham idam kritsnam ekangshena shtito jagat." Sanskrit. Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna said, "What more shall I say to you? I live throughout this cosmic manifestation merely in my single plenary portion." This is Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, verse 42. Krishna describing his potencies to Arjuna. Next we have a quote from Srimad Bhagavatam. Grandfather Bhishma said, "As the one sun appears differently situated to different seers, so also you, the unborn, appear differently represented as Paramatma in every living being. But when a seer knows himself to be one of your own servitors, he no longer does he maintain such duality. Thus I am now able to comprehend your eternal forms, known well as the Paramatma to be only your plenary portion." So he's saying that Paramatma is everywhere, and I know that it's you who's there behind it, that singular personality. Okay, so the Sanskrit. Tam imam aham ajam sharira bhajam hridi hridi dishtitam atma kalpitanam prati drisham eva naika dharkam ekam samdigatosmi viduta beda moha. So Prabhupada just goes over the example given in the Bhagavatam when Bhishma this is Bhishma Dev laying on the bed of arrows. He's been shot through with so many arrows, but because he's fully a Vaishnava, he's able to speak, unbelievable philosophy on his deathbed, in spite of, who could imagine the pain from all those arrows? But he's, laying there transcendental to it, giving us the high understanding about the whole view of the personality of Godhead, his presence in this world, and ultimately his presence in the transcendental world and our relationships with him. So, Bhishmadev is worshipable as the grandfather, to all living beings. Okay, next verse. That Govinda personally appears as Chaitanya Gosai. So here, Kaviraj Goswami brings us to the point he's making. No other Lord is as merciful in delivering the fallen souls. For the Bengali, Saita Govinda Sakshat Chaitanya Gosai, Jiva Nistarite Aiche Dayalu Aranai. Saita Govinda, that Govinda, Sakshat personally is Chaitanya Gosai. So Jiva Nistarite, delivering the fallen souls. This Lord is doing that, this merciful Lord, Dayalu. Okay, Prabhupada summarizes what Kaviraj Goswami is doing, bringing us to the point of understanding that Mahaprabhu is non-different than Krishna himself. And not only that, he's the most merciful of all the incarnations of Krishna. And now, based on that understanding, Srila Prabhupada gives us a list from the Upanishads of verses that, if not directly, at least indirectly indicate the descent of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as Krishna himself in the Kali Yuga. And I won't read the verses, but I'll read. There's one from Chaitanya Upanishad, Gora Sarvatma, Svetasvatara Upanishad, Tung Ishvaranam, Mundaka Upanishad, Yada Pasyati Rukmavarnam, Rukmavarna, the golden form. Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, there's indication of the descent of Mahaprabhu. Okay. There's two verses from the 11th canto. Then Krishna Yamala Tantra Punya Kshetra Nava Dvipe Bhavishayam Sachi Sutta. I shall appear in the holy land of Navadvip as the son of Sachi Devi. And these are like tantras, Vaishnava tantras that have come, they don't know where they come from or when they came from. They're very ancient. And they're still, to some degree, existent today. And from these Vaishnava tantras and the Pancharatra, the Goswamis have drawn the practices of bhakti. So we have, Satsandarbha from, is it Jiva Goswami? I think so, or is it Sanatan? I think it's Sanatan. Anyway, in Rupa Goswami's books, Jiva Goswami's books, Sanatan Goswami's books, they've compiled an understanding of bhakti that is, complete and authoritative, showing us that bhakti and surrender to the Lord is indicated throughout all the scriptures as the final destination of the soul who travels through all the Vedas. So it's said that one who begins to surrender to Krishna, it's understood. He's already read the Vedas. He's understood them. What that means, who knows? Maybe we've done it. Maybe somehow or other, by the grace of our Guru, we've just been, yanked out of the mud. Probably that's the case. But anyway, somehow or other, we're in a position where we get a chance to leave this material world, not to just enhance our position in the material world or melt into the oneness or something, which is, everything that's out there. But this is unique and otherwise inaccessible. An ordinary person can't understand this. He needs some sukriti. He needs to take some prasadam. He needs to see the deity. He needs to bow down. He needs to chant Hare Krishna. And through that, the sumedasa begins to shine. The developed intelligence begins to shine. And by that developed intelligence, the living entity begins to see his actual position as, Krishna's eternal servant. Okay, then he goes on, the Vayu Purana. Kalo sankirtarambe bhavisyami sochi sutta. In the age of Kali, when the Sankirtan movement is inaugurated, I shall descend as the son of Sachi Devi. In the Brahma Yamala Tantra, the son of Sachi, coming in Kali Yuga to initiate the Sankirtan movement. From the Ananta Samhita, Krishna comes as the life of Radharani in the form of Gora. So, big purport, so many citations from, ancient scriptures that go back well before the time of Christ, probably back to 5,000 years or beyond, having been passed down, orally, and then finally set down in Sanskrit in the Kali Yuga. So, verse 23. Para Vyometi Vaishe Narayana Nama Sad Aishvarya Purna Lakshmi Kanta Bhagavan. Hey, we have someone who's very close to the verse. Lakshmi Kanta, the husband of the goddess of opulence. So Lakshmi Kanti is what? The goddess of fortune herself? Yes. Okay, so Devidasi, Lakshmi Kanti Devidasi, ki jai. Okay. Para Vyometi, in the transcendental world. Lord Narayana, who dominates the transcendental world, is full of 6 opulences. He is the personality of Godhead, the Lord of the goddess of fortune. So, Paravyometi, so the whole Paravyoma, the Vaikuntha realm, is dominated by Narayan. And the living entities, many living entities who enter the spiritual realm, either permanently stay there or temporarily stay in that position as a servant, serving Narayan in his 6 opulences, living a life based on simply service. Narayan is there as the Lord, and the living beings are there as the servitors. And then we'll go on. It describes Bhagavan in his abode. 24. Veda Bhagavata Upanishad Agama Purna Tattva Yangre Kahe Nahi Yara Sama. The personality of Godhead is He who is described as the absolute whole in the Vedas, Bhagavatam, Upanishads, and other transcendental literature. No one is equal to Him. So then, Srila Prabhupada goes in. These quotes are from the compilations of the Goswamis. Maybe in one of the books of Sanatan or Rupa or Jiva primarily. But it's not said. But the sources are quoted. The Rik Samhita. Okay, the personality of Godhead is the one at whose feet all the devatas bow. Narayana Artava Shira Upanishad. There is nothing but Narayan, who is the unadulterated deity. There is only Narayan and nothing else. From the Narayan Upanishad, Narayan is the source from whom all the universes emanate. From the Harisha Pancharatra, Hari is the Supreme Lord. So all indications of a personal, transcendental being who's the one, who's supreme. And in the Paravyoma. And then we get description of the realm beyond the Paravyoma, where God engages in, under the influence of Yoga Maya, his spiritual illusory potency. He engages as an ordinary child or up to a teenager. And everybody relates to him in that way, as friends or parents and so on. And it's inconceivable because there's, uncountable souls, and they all think they have the relationship with Krishna. Like the gopis when they're dancing, Krishna only is dancing with them. When in actuality, he's dancing with everyone. So Krishna is manifest in Goloka in a personal relationship based on his desire and our own transcendental desire for service. Krishna is so kind that he allows us to go to that place, which is the inclination of our heart. And generally our line is in the line of serving the manjaris in the transcendental Madhurya rasa. But Srila Prabhupada was in that line coming from Saraswati Thakur, and Srila Guru Maharaj indicated that he went to Sakya Ras. So, it just depends on the personality and the inclinations of the personality. Because on his writings on the Jaladuta, he indicated Krishna as a friend. Okay. Okay, more quotes from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3 verses. Okay, Narayan is also known as Brahman and Paramatma, the cause of creation, maintenance, and annihilation. Know him to be supreme. I'll do one more verse. Through their service, devotees see that the personality of Godhead, just as the denizens of heaven see the personality of the sun. Okay, let me read that again. Through their service, devotees see that personality of Godhead. So by service, the vision is there. It's like simultaneously. As you become immersed in service, you see the Lord. So, it actually manifests like directly by the grace of our gurus. As we serve, then suddenly a deity appears and we get to serve him. And then maybe other deities appear and we get to serve them. Or maybe different opportunities for some kirtan just appear and we get to, enter into those things. So, and we see always in those things, ideally, as servants of our Gurudev, we see in those things the presence and the hand of the personality of Godhead. So I'll read the Bengali. Bhakti yoge bhakta paya yangahara darshana surya yena savigraha deki deva gana. Deva gana, the denizens of heaven, those devas, those people who are devas. So like they see the sun as a personality, Surya, so the devotees, through their bhakti, see the personality of Godhead as the supreme. They get to see that. So Prabhupada talks about the means through which the devatas reach the higher planets, upon which, based on the consciousness of their particular planet, they can see things like the personality of the sun. And Prabhupada talks about that, which he does at length in his Easy Journey to Other Planets, which we distributed. That was like the first little booklet that came out, I think, because Prabhupada had already written it in India. And no, before that we had a little, very small, on chanting Hare Krishna, which during that Kirtan day, I'm going to read that and discuss it. It's a very beautiful little summary of the power of the chanting given by Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Okay, so the comparison is the Vaishnava, the Bhakta, through his service, sees the personality of Godhead. And we're told that one day like as is given in the scriptures, like Gopakumar will suddenly be there, and we'll be living in reality. Maybe we'll be with the party of Mahaprabhu. Maybe we'll be in different positions. Who knows? But that's our destination. And we can't be an illusion that that we're there, or that we're about to be there, or anything. Imagining what is the transcendental destination. That's the snare of sahajas. They get so much into imagining. They go to the high books and imagine their experience, and suddenly they're living in a world of mental imagination, which is offensive, because they take ultimately they take the high pastimes of the Lord and bring them down to the mundane, where I've personally seen in Vrindavan, probably men dressed up as gopis with one of them dressed up as Krishna, and they're dancing. It's bizarre, but it happens. It goes on. People, through their mental imagination, bring the whole thing down to the earthly plane, and the whole thing becomes very offensive. So Srila Prabhupada gave us so many warnings through his books, as is Srila Sridhar Maharaj and Srila Govinda Maharaj. We can never understand why he kept saying about sahajas over and over and over, because we don't have any connection with any kind of sahajas really. But he knew that by the development of devotion, we'll be subject to the temptation to go in that direction, to begin to imagine your what do they call it? I forget the Sanskrit. The position in the transcendental world. The guru conveys to you your position, and you imagine that position, and you read the high books and kind of trip out in the mind. And that's a distraction, and that's not the reality of what devotional service is. And we've seen it practically, how it's happened. Some guy appears who gives that. And many of my godbrothers who felt such happiness and joy in the presence of Srila Prabhupada, suddenly he's gone. And there is the direction to take shelter of Srila Sridhar Maharaj, but they don't do it. So they feel empty. That's like the second stage. But they don't know it. They don't know why they're empty, because they haven't taken shelter of someone who can teach them about that. It's there in Prabhupada's books, but you don't see it until you know about it. You have to have some direct connection with the Vaishnava who reveals it to you. And Prabhupada only revealed to us the beginning stages. So these, my godbrothers, hear from this personality that you can have the nectar you had with Srila Prabhupada again. Just come and read these high pastimes and you'll feel bliss. And they go, thinking they can jump over the middle stage of struggle to destroy the ego. And they imagine, entering into transcendental pastimes still with contamination. And eventually the whole thing becomes degraded. Maybe it's not now, maybe it has, I don't know. But, we see it, how it's practically happened. And also, I'm told, in Vrindavan, at the Krishna Balaram temple, not at our temple, but different sahaja gurus come there and try to lure the devotees out with the temptation of having access to the high books. So this, I've already said it, this John Harrison told us that in Vrindavan they decided that, well, if the sahajas are going to give them the high books and they're going to go, we might as well give them the books here. So they're doing that in spite of Prabhupada's strong direction against it. So the whole thing is it's like a slippery slope. You go in that direction, phew, it just goes in, and it's all described. Prabhupada lists, the 13 different sahaja groups and all their different aspects of imitation and stuff like that. So anyway, Where are we? Okay, the next verse. Those who walk the path of knowledge and yoga worship only Him, for it is Him they perceive as the impersonal Brahman and the localized Paramatma. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, ultimately, these people who worship the devatas and other aspects of me, ultimately they worship me. So Kaviraj Goswami goes to that, and then establishing Narayan, and then establishing Krishna as the source of Narayan, and then again restating Mahaprabhu as Krishna himself. So Jai, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai.